Hey, welcome back everybody to another video. It's your boy Pirate Hunter Chris. In this video, we're going to be talking about one of the greatest mysteries of the One Piece series. I know you guys have been waiting on what the heck is a D? What does the D mean in the name? And the D is one of those things that you can only discuss with your One Piece friends. Because if you try to talk about this, with your friend, you're like, what do you think the D means? They're going to be like, what are you talking about? So yeah, anyways, this discussion is going to be in regards to the Will of D, and it's kind of crazy to me how the One Piece has been going on for 20 years almost. Oh no, 20 plus years, and we still don't know what the D means. Like for right now, it's just a mystery. Like the D, is it like what could it mean? What is it? Why do only certain people in history have the letter D? And why doesn't anyone know what the D means? But anyways, so as of right now, there is 9 confirmed bearers of the name D. I would list them, but obviously we know Monkey D. Luffy is one of them. Monkey D. Garp. We know Law is one of them, so that's 3. Ace 4. 5 Goldie Roger, and then I don't want to list the other the other 4. Monkey D. Dragon, obviously. So that's 6 right there. The other 3 I'll list. Marshall D. Cheech. So that's 7, and then the other 2. Sal was one of them. That's 8. But anyways, so yeah, that we have 9 confirmed D bearers as of right now in the One Piece world, and most of them are dead. So most of these people that end up having the D in the storyline are supposedly, are not supposedly, but they are dead indeed. And if you think about it, like anyone who marks like the Will of D, who has the D in their name, they have a pretty sad and dark past. I mean, if you think about like all these people that have the Will D, like Law. Let's take Law for example. Law's past is the most dramatic thing I've ever seen from a D so far. Like, and I know this question's been going on for 20 years, and a lot of people are, just curious as to what the D means. And I know Oda. Oh my God, Oda! I hate him for the way he teases at what the D could be. Like, does it just stand for something? Like, is there a specific reason? Like, the D is a middle name. Like, why? But I hope. Like, I'm praying. Knowing Oda, I know the payoff will be huge. Like, it's got me waiting for 20 years. Like, that's how old I am. So I know the payoff for the meaning of the name D will pay off. But it's just so hard to wait. But so let's talk about what it stands for. The D has to relate to that one island in history, something that nobody is able to talk about. I'll make another video about this soon, but whenever someone brings up the Void Century, they always die for some reason. If you think about Ohoa, right, and they were studying the ancient history, the ancient civilization, the Void Century, and they figured out what happened during the Void Century, and you know what happened to them? They got a buster call called on them, and they're all dead except for Robin. Clearly they don't want anyone knowing what the D means. There's plenty of things people have noticed about the D regarding the characters that hold these initials. There's things that sort of tie them together. For example, one of those things is that whenever a D is about to die, except for the exception of Marshall D. Teach, he was the only one that didn't display this. But whenever a D is about to die, they do this weird thing of smiling before their death. If you think about Luffy, right? We'll take Luffy for the first example. If you think about Luffy and Bucky was about to kill him, slice his neck down the middle, end his life, that whole shebang. And he's like, or we can think about Ace, right? When Akainu, just blasts his Ace in the freaking chest. I mean, Ace knew he was gonna die. Like, he was just like, now the only one who didn't display that is Marshall D. Teach. For some reason, when he was about to die, why Whitebeard, which is understandable. Whitebeard is a very intimidating man, a very huge, intimidating man. But when he was about to get killed by Whitebeard, he did not display the usual characteristics of what you would see in a D. So I was wondering, why is it that he didn't, when he was about to die, or when he thought he was about to die, he didn't display, that smile on his face. It's just very strange because, if you look at the other D's, and when they're about to die, they all, for the most part, have died with smiles on their faces. So it's just interesting to see why Blackbeard was the only outlier in that situation. I don't know. It's just very strange to me how he was the only one that we've seen so far in the series with a D attached to his name that didn't display the normal characteristics as everyone else. But it's very interesting because if you think about it, the Void Century, right? They clearly just destroyed any history of the Void Century for certain reasons, right? I'm assuming the world government were the people that did it. Now, if that's the case, and they didn't want any of the D's, living to tell, to see the light. How is it that these D's, were able to be passed on through history? Because if you think about it, right, if the world government were the people that eliminated everyone with the name D attached to their name, right? Why is Monkey D. Garp able to be in the Marines? Why is Luffy still able to walk around and without the Marines constantly hunting him? Because if the D's were so dangerous as they're portraying them to be, you would think that they would make that the number one mission, to like forget all the other pirates. We're just going to go after the ones with D's attached to the name. And it's very interesting because anyone who's known as a D is known as God's natural enemy, right? In the One Piece storyline. And it got me thinking, God's natural enemy. Do they mean like the celestial dragons? Like, because in the storyline, right, they're considered gods, right? Nobody wants to mess with the celestial dragons because they're like, if you mess with them, that's a death sentence. So I'm just thinking, are they referring to them when they say God's natural enemy? Because if you think about when Luffy in the auction house and what they were doing to Kaney, and he punches the celestial dragon, and everyone's like, so I'm just wondering, when they say God's natural enemy, do they refer to that? And it's just very interesting how, clearly people know that there is a void century in history, but nobody seems to know what happened in that history except for like a select few. If we think about the poneglyphs, right? We know that the poneglyphs are deeply, deeply connected to the D's. If you think about it, the poneglyphs talk about the void century, the ancient history, all that good stuff. And it's clear as day that it's connected to the D's somehow. So I'm thinking that either throughout the series, they're going to keep finding more poneglyphs and it's eventually going to expose them to what happened to the D's, what happened during the void century. Either that or they'll have to just, get to Raftail like everyone predicted, and then they'll find out everything that happened with the void century there. But who knows? But it's clear as day that the poneglyphs and the void century and the D's are all connected one way or another. And then let me backtrack a little bit because I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Let's also go back to when Corazon first met Law.
子供嫌いだ、注意しろ。やだ。
So it's clear that the D has some significance in that way as well. But if I've been trying to guess just like different initials, like different words that the D can stand for, like I don't know, like destiny or like destroyer. But I'm like, those just don't sound like something Oda would use, or maybe dreamer. I could see dreamer being the thing that the D stands for, but then again, maybe just like the D itself, maybe it's just all it is just like an initial, like a trademark, being like, hey, this is one of the people from whose lineage can be tied back to the Void Century. Maybe it just doesn't like the initial itself, like the letter itself, just doesn't mean anything. Maybe it's just to simplify, hey, these are people that have came from the Void Century, like their lineage can be tied back to the Void Century. Because the more I think about it, I'm like, maybe it just doesn't stand for anything. Maybe it's just to show this is people who came from the Void Century. But I have no doubt in my mind that we will see more Ds throughout the series. Maybe like a few more. I feel like Kid might be a D, but he just hasn't told anyone yet. If they did tell people, if Oda did make him a D, I wouldn't be that surprised. I'd be more surprised if he wasn't a D as opposed to if he was one. And one of the biggest questions that I have in regards to the D is what made him, like, what was it about them that made it that they had to be, destroyed as a civilization? Was it that they were trying to oppose the world government in a way that, the government felt like they threatened to end, basically end tyranny and oppression and just make it so like everything was like a democracy? Is that why they got eliminated? Like, what is the reason for like nobody knows what happened, during that void century? And it's just so crazy to me how the government, like you think about the world government, they're able to clean out history. They're able to eliminate people from history, and nobody seems to like notice. Because it's like, if the void century was as big as a deal as the government is making it seem, how has nobody, how has there been no written records? How has been, like, besides the Poneglyphs, obviously, but like besides the Poneglyphs, how has there been no other documentation stating what happened during the ancient history? How is it that like the world government was able to eliminate every book, every single article, besides the Poneglyphs, as I mentioned, that referred to the D's? So that's my biggest concern. Like, I just don't understand how they were able to go about doing that. But then again, like I said before, I have a video where they actually where I talked about like the world government and how they were able to eliminate Roxy Zembak from history, and like only like a select few even know who he is. So just like the fact that they're able to eliminate a man such as Zembak from history, it just goes to show like the power that the world government has. At the end of the day, I believe that in the final war arc, we'll begin to see, the history of the D, what it means to be a D, and like maybe, just maybe, if there is a true definition of the meaning behind the initial D, let's talk about the wind, right? So it's clear, it's clear as day that there are, D's high in history, as we have seen throughout the story, but when will they reveal themselves? Because if you think about it like this, it's clear that there are D's lurking around in the storyline. So are they going to wait until the final war arc to reveal themselves to the world government and be like, hey, we were hiding all this time, but now is the time to, strike back? Like, are they going to do that in regards to like the D, like the whole D the D storyline? Is that's what I'm thinking they might do, because it's like, there's no way that the only, out of all the civilization, only like we have only 4 living D's currently alive right now. So I think the rest of the D's are currently in hiding, and they're waiting for the right chance, the right moment to come out and reveal themselves to be a D and to strike back. So that's actually also the last thing I wanted to talk about, is when in history, when in the current storyline they will reveal themselves. I don't think they will reveal themselves until the final arc, and until they're fighting the world government. But as far as that goes, that pretty much ends my video. If you guys liked, please leave a like. Please subscribe to the channel.